welcome to another ohmTown Daily News Show. I'm Mayor Watt. That's my site. I run ohmTown.com, which is a news aggregation site. I'm about 90 episodes into what I've started at the beginning of the year. And I'm looking at the site and trying to figure out some way of enhancing it. But the site's really more about powering these shows. So I would be interested in knowing what you would like. And I can really do some changes and see if I can make it happen. But I've got 50 shows that I want to bring to Twitch. I'm still looking for hosts or co-hosts. Some people are interested in hosting or co-hosting, but aren't necessarily ready to commit to this. Doesn't take much. It's an hour of existence, a little bit of prep before. I'm more interested in passion, charisma, willing to talk. And obviously, if you want to do it a different way, you don't have to be like me on camera. You can change it up. I'm pretty flexible about these things. So if you are interested, just get in touch with me. There's all kinds of places to get in touch with me here on Twitch, over on YouTube, on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, not Instagram. I'm on TikTok, but I'm not posting anything there yet. Little snippets of me adjusting my glasses aren't necessarily the most exciting of things to be there. But ohmTown.com is the site that powers all of this. So if you are interested in something over at ohmTown being changed, maybe you have an idea about making it better, let me know. If you have an idea about making the stream better, let me know. All of that said, the way that the aggregator works is it goes out there and grabs a little bit of content, a headline primarily, a little bit of information from news sources around the world, mostly American news, but the context of it is that it is global. We are all bound by business, technology, and society, and with society being the glue that binds it all together. But there is really nothing that through discussion, there is really nothing that isn't tied to those three together: business, technology, and society. That said, when you go over to ohmTown.com, you see a bunch of headlines. When you click on those headlines, you get taken to a discussion board. In that discussion board is a little snippet of an article. I want you to go over to the source, and then you can come back afterwards and talk about it. Or you can come to Twitch and talk about it, or you can go to YouTube and talk about it. And of course, Twitter. But there isn't anything really on Twitter. Not to mention, there's been a podcast now, and I'm slowly migrating all of the episodes over to the podcast. So you can just go to Apple Podcasts and do a search for ohmTown, and it'll pull up this stream, only in audio format. There's a little bit of, dead air. It's a casual conversation, me showing or talking, I should say, talking about the articles. And in the show notes are links to the material that I'm going over. Same thing with YouTube and here on Twitch. So let's get into today's episode. When I first went to ohmTown, I saw this. And I had taken a break and had gotten a bunch of articles that I thought were interesting throughout the day. And then I came back and I clicked on the front page of ohmTown, and it says Dr. Seuss Enterprises CEO Susan Brandt expands a brand that really represents childhood. And Dr. Seuss has been around for a long time, and I think it's pretty much global. I don't know of anybody at some point who hasn't, I should say, stumbled across something Dr. Seuss. And then and the very next thing is Ron Perlman calling the Florida governor a Nazi pig for signing a "Don't Say Gay" bill. Gets a little more colorful after that, but society is really in conflict, and it's largely hell bent on not letting other people. There's a cohort of people that are very interested in not letting people just be people. Instead, they're trying to control who a person is and who they can show affection to and how a person can act, even though it doesn't impact them in any way, shape, or form other than whatever their clutch my pearls fine sensibilities are. So obviously, if you're listening to this, I'm showing my cards in some way, that I am more interested in everybody being treated with respect right out of the gate. It's up to you to say and do things that make me think, no, I don't want to hang out with you. I don't want to share, a table with you. I don't want to have much of a conversation. It really depends on how hell-bent you are on, being the antithesis of what I want around me, right? But I'm not setting policy and procedure in place and nor are most efforts in various communities. They're designed to open doors, to be accepting of more people, to give equity and equality and opportunity to more people. But it just seems like more and more I'm hearing stories. I'm watching the news. Obviously, I'm reading the news. I'm talking about it with people, that there is this ever increasing desire to oppress various segments of society that don't even need to exist as segments. Everybody is part of society. But sociologically, everybody likes to pen things into groups. It is sociology 101. There's in groups, there's out groups. And if you're in an out group, you can't be part of the in group unless you do something to gain their trust and fall in line. And then you can be on the outs again, depending on who you are. And this happens in many, many groups, many cultures across the board. There are these sociological forces. But the implementation of policy and procedure to criminalize people for just being people is absurd to me. Not to mention all the rest of this news. The conflict between, well, I keep saying between Russia and Ukraine. It has nothing to do with Ukraine being in conflict with. It's Russia is invading Ukraine and Ukraine is defending itself, trying to kick the invaders out. So this is impacting everything in Europe, in Africa, Southeast Asia. It's all in turmoil. So let's see what the news has to say. I didn't mean to start this out like this, but I wanted to get it off my chest. But let's get into the news. The first article is scientists discover most distant star that humans have ever seen. It's pretty neat. The Hubble Space Telescope actually used a mechanism of physics to warp space-time, where I should say the space-time is warped, and they actually used it to look deeper into the the far-flung reaches of space, and saw a star, which apparently is nicknamed Arundel, after the Old English word for morning star or rising star, is dramatically farther than the previous record holder, a star named Icarus, also discovered by Hubble, when the universe was already 4 billion years old. If I recall, yeah, this new star is 13 billion years old. At least the light we're spotting is that old. So what's really interesting about this is the way that they found it, which is this little, you can't see it if you're in the podcast, but if you're watching, this red line is actually a bend in space-time. That's how they saw the star. It says, because looking across space is also looking back in time, Hubble saw this star as it was when the universe was only 900 million years old. The star, nicknamed Arundel after the Old English word for morning star or rising light, is dramatically further than previous record holder, a star named Icarus. So let's scroll down here so that I can read. I had read something about this earlier before I had went to grab headlines from ohmTown. But it says here, let's see. For this reason, Welch and his colleagues collected years of observations after they first spotted the star in 2016 with Hubble's reionization lensing cluster survey, or RELIX, to be sure that they were really seeing a distant star or a binary star system. Not only did they confirm the detection, they found that unlike previous lensed stars, the magnification and observed brightness have remained roughly constant over 3.5 years of imaging and follow-up. So it's pretty neat. I'm going to scroll a little bit. We do expect with the Webb Space Telescope that we will be able to find more of these sorts of objects. Within the first couple of years, at least, of Webb observations, we're really hoping that we're going to be able to find more objects like this and break this record pretty soon, because it would be really exciting to continue looking further back into the universe with these individual stars. I'm really curious what would happen. So whatever we believe is the age of the known universe, right? When I was younger, they being scientists, said that it was 14 billion years old, right? So they're saying 13.77 billion years old. So this star is 13 billion light years away. And we're just shy of looking back at what would have been in existence the moment of the Big Bang. I was about to say, if you believe in that. And the only reason why I say that is I'm actually, I'm not sure why I even bothered saying that, because that is the prevailing theory of our existence, that it was from an ultra dense mass and boom, everything came into existence. But I know that there are some that do not believe that that's how it formed. The universe formed. So at any rate, what's going to happen when we hit that 14 million year limit? What are we going to see if we keep peering deeper? And we're using something sitting here right outside Earth orbit. I think it's pretty amazing. So just so I can circle back around to how I normally do things, this is a Vice.com article written by Becky Ferreira, and the section is called Motherboard Tech by Vice. It has so many section names that it's hard to even disentangle it all, so I just say it all. But it's a Vice article titled "Scientists Discover Most Distant Star That Humans Have Ever Seen." Wonder if we're going to see a giant lensing effect where we're actually looking at the other side of the universe, because it is a warp in space-time. So if you're looking all the way at the the beginning of the universe, 1 micron to the other side past the beginning of the universe is the other end of the universe, because there can't be nothing out there, right? The universe is expanding into something. What is it expanding into? What is the prevailing idea about that? Anyway, let me know. Come by twitch.tv/ohmTown and tell me, wise astrophysicists, if you just happen to stumble across my video. Okay, so the next article is, and what a quick transition from one thing to another, in that this is the Order of the Bean, which is all about coffee. It has nothing to do with stars. Here are the final 4 in the Sprudge 2022 Ultimate Coffee Bracket Challenge. And the little snippet is just, it all comes down to this. So I check out Sprudge periodically, which is a coffee site. And they had this contest. And it says, here we are, the final 4 of Sprudge's 2022 Ultimate Coffee Bracket Challenge. Over the past 2 weeks, we've let you people take to Instagram to vote for your favorite coffee drinks in a head-to-head tournament of caffeinated greatness. This is year number 2 of Bracket Sprology. Wow. Not that you'd really be able to tell based on the last 4 drinks. Still dancing. Last year, Espresso, Batch Brew, Chemex, and V60 were the final 4, and that's pretty much exactly where we are again this year, save for a sub-in of the 1-and-1 Affogato for the Chemex, which really didn't make the semis this year because it ran into the buzzsaw that is espresso. Well, yeah. I don't know who won the last one, but maybe espresso will win. So let's see. Do they say what it is? So who's going to be this year? Are we going to see a finals rematch of espresso versus V60? I don't know. You'll have to go over and read the rest of this article. I think it's neat that they have this big contest. Back it up a little bit. Yeah, so it's really hard for me to show you the whole thing. So you're going to have to go over and check it out. Pistachio latte. Didn't even make it. Oat milk latte beat out pistachio latte. Yeah, I mean, you can add more stuff to a oat milk latte. Anyway, go and check it out. Veronica Grimm says the majority of you are wrong. Okay. Drink your coffee how you like it, folks. Like, I've been making lattes every morning at home before the pandemic, not so much. When the pandemic kicked off, I instantly bought an espresso machine, and I've been making at least 2 every day. Not both of them for me, but anyway, I just realized, not just realized, but I've been doing it, for 2.5 years now, and I finally want to up my game. So now I'm looking at espresso machines, and once I get a good one, maybe I'll talk more about it, but we'll see. Let me know in chat or wherever you see this video what espresso machine I should get. This next article is over in the Bead Baby channel. This channel is all about making jewelry. I also have jewel crafting as a show. Different focus. This is more, Bead Baby is more about an up and coming idea. Should it actually gain traction through this show, where I want to do live buying, selling, trading of jewelry and jewelry findings, beads, and so on. here live on Twitch. And but I haven't started really the effort to spin this up. It's just grabbing articles from around the world. This is Upcycled Tech and Industrial Jewelry by Geekery Doo. Watch how 6 million pounds of electronic waste gets recycled a month. And the article's little snippet says the most common type of upcycled tech jewelry are either the circuit board or computer key designs. But Canadian designer Ava of Geekery Doo cleverly uses other electronic parts, such as resistors, capacitors, antique fuses, and even LED lights for her designs, which she combines them with beads and other jewelry findings. So let's click this link and I'll take you over there. Now that's neat. If you are into, the website is beatinggem.com. And this article is written by the Beating Gem. And just so I show you who the Beating Gem is, it's Pearl Blay, aka the Beating Gem. Ta-da! So the person takes resistors and capacitors and those are old school fuses, yeah, indeed, and makes some tech jewelry out of it. So that's pretty neat. You know, they don't end up in a landfill, at least not for a while. Who knows how long it takes for them to finally, make it into the bin, but these are neat. Upcycling them into something and keeping them out of landfills and maybe just going to waste. These can be appreciated by all us geeks out there. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll up really quick and let's continue on to the next article. This is over in Smack Talk channel. How Apple's logo started out as the most expensive and became the most iconic. There was an artist, I believe, that was paid either, let's see, I think it was, if I recall my business classes, the idea was, do you want stock or do you want money? And I think they were paid cash. But the snippet here is from its very first beginnings as an over-elaborate illustration, it is to its familiar and distinctive shape today. Apple's logo has reflected its company's aims from the start. There was no Apple logo when Steve Wozniak built the Apple I or when Steve Jobs sold it. But there was when Apple was officially founded on April 1st, 1976. It was designed by Apple's third founder, Ron Wayne, whose logo didn't last a great deal longer than he did. Wayne exited the company merely days after it was founded, and his original logo was replaced within a year. Just click the link and take you over to Apple Insider. William Gallagher wrote this article, and if you've never seen the original Apple logo, it was this one right here. But it was basically the rainbow. And there was no Apple logo when Steve Wozniak built the Apple I. And I thought it had always been there. But I think the original was this right here. This was the one that was like the very, very beginning. If I recall correctly. Let's see, the text is a truncated quotation from William Wordsworth's The Prelude, written in 1850, or 126 years before Wayne borrowed it. Interesting. 6 colors, but not as you know them, is another section of this article. Quote, it was very simple, really, Janoff said. And this was Wayne's hand-drawn illustrative logo was replaced in 1977 by the work of designer Rob Janoff. Some sources spell his surname as Janov, Janov. Others mistakenly call him Job instead of Rob. But his official site confirms the correct spelling. What Janoff designed was the shape of the Apple logo, which remains to this day, including the bite taken out of the side. He also filled it with stripes, the famous 6 colors of the Apple logo. It was very simple, really, Janoff said in an interview preserved on the Revert to Saved website. I just bought a bunch of apples, put them in a bowl, drew them for a week or so to simplify the shape. And he says the whole process from briefing to delivery was about 2 weeks, and the commission was to create a logo in time for the April 1977 launch of the Apple II. And let's see if I can jump through a lot of this text and see. Let me scroll a little bit. Sorry for the fast scroll. I try not to, but sometimes it's necessary. Let's see. They go into a lot of detail about this. All the way up to the current, what is being called the Chrome version. Okay, well. So this article basically goes through the entire history of the Apple logo. But I remember seeing this when Apple was being talked about when I was in business school. So it's pretty neat. And this is just a matter of history, and nobody will ever forget this history. Not for this particular company, at least. So go over to Apple Insider and you can read the rest of that article. The next article is the sequel to Zelda. If you haven't heard of this, it's a spoiler. The sequel to Zelda Breath of the Wild is now delayed to spring of 2023. And it says the wait for Link's adventure just got a few months longer. It's over at rpgsite.net. The article is written by Alex Donaldson. And unfortunately, the moment that this was announced, Nintendo's stock took a dive. And I'm not sure if it's recovered. I haven't looked into it yet. But it says fans had begun to expect and anticipate a delay in recent months after the as-yet untitled sequel remained unspoken of as we got deeper into 2022. I don't know about deeper. We're not very deep into 2022. Which was initially revealed as its launch window. Okay. Yeah, 2022 is a long time. The delay was revealed in a brief video from Zelda series producer Eiji Aonuma. And you can watch the video, but just go over to rpgsite.net and look for the sequel to Zelda Breath of the Wild delayed to spring 2023. The next article is in the Warcrafters channel, and I am looking for either getting a new machine altogether with an RTX graphics card or finding an RTX graphics card. And prices are dropping, not as precipitously as I want them to, but it really depends on production and distribution. We'll see if scalpers keep buying them up by the forklift load or not. But this article says these new Nvidia Rtx 3090 Ti, or Ti, as I've seen Nvidia call them, GPUs are absolutely enormous. The RTX 3090 Ti has finally landed. It's been some time since it was first teased by Nvidia at CES back in January. The Ampere flagship is set to launch at $1,999, while premium models are expected to sell for much more. If everything could just run on the GPU, I'd be fine with paying $2,000. But you throw that processor or that GPU in with a CPU of the latest generation, and you're looking at $5,000 again. It's wild. It's really wild. But you pay for performance, I guess. And let's take a look at these, because these are coming from Asus, I believe. Maybe from EVGA. And so they're over at PCGamer.com, and the article is written by Chris Seswick. I might be pronouncing his last name slightly wrong. Be sure to tell me. And let's see here. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. It says the 3090 Ti comes with fully enabled GA102 GPU with all of the available 10,752 CUDA cores unlocked. This compares to the 8700 of the base RTX 3080. And they talk about other specs. The Founder Edition comes with a 1860 megahertz clock, a big jump over the 1695 megahertz of the 3090. Pack in 24 gigs of 21 gigabits GDDR6X memory, and we're looking at a monster card. Well, it actually needs its own it needs its own power supply pretty much. At 350 watts, it's already a power hungry GPU. You put that thing under load, and I can imagine that you're going to need a 1200 watt power supply, like it mentions here in the article. Wow. Now compare this. We'll see what this compares like against Apple's new M1 Ultra, and right on the horizon is the M2. If the M2 has RTX ray tracing capabilities, the level of an RTX card at any level, it will dramatically impact power consumption of the M2. It won't be part of the M1, but if the M2 can compete, then maybe Apple gaming will actually become a reality. But most gamers, most people that are into playing games, just kind of chuckle when it comes to Apple and gaming. But I would like a one-stop shop. I mean, I use Apple for other business stuff. I use Linux for business industry stuff, and I am a gamer, so I'm using a PC for streaming and gaming. So it gets a little busy here in ohmTown. Radiation burns from monitors and computers seems almost like it's a necessity to exist here in ohmTown. So wear your radiation suit. Let's go on to the next article. This is a Reality Hacker article, and that's because it's about VR and Zenith, the Last City. If you've never heard of Zenith, basically it's a VR game. Not basically, it is a VR game, and it's a solely VR game. And in that sense, you take on the persona of a character in an MMORPG, first-person view. You're walking around doing things. It's apparently quite fun. Unfortunately, it was released after I got rid of my VR rig, and I'm not going to buy another one until it's wireless and Steam powered. That said, this is Ramen VR, the creators behind crowdfunded VR MMORPG Zenith: The Last City, announced it has closed a Series B round of $35 million. Something the studio says will allow it to significantly expand in size as it aims to develop Zenith into a metaverse platform that goes far beyond its current scope. Man. The studio's latest financing round was led by Anthos Capital and Dune Ventures. Additional investments come from Makers Fund and personal investments from Andreessen Horowitz partners, Andrew Chen and James Gwertzman. The studio Series B brings its outside investment to over $45 million. Ramen's VR penultimate round of $10 million was led by Makers Fund in September 2021. Well, it was actually pretty well received. So let's click on the source and it takes us to roadtovr.com, which is a great source for everything VR. This article was written by Scott Hayden, and it's been a little while since it was initially published, but here we are talking about it now. And I try to keep everything within the last 24 hours. This may have been brought up once before, but I just didn't talk about it at the time. And then something edited it, and then my aggregator grabbed it again. But Ramen VR gained quick success on Kickstarter in a 2019 campaign that raised $280,000 to create the VR native MMORPG for PC VR headsets, Meta Quest, and PSVR. Since its January 2022 launch, Zenith: The Last City has been a resounding success. The game currently sits in the top 5 most popular games on the Quest platform. So if you want to know more about it, then you can go over to roadtovr.com. And the next article is in the Reality Hacker channel. And this is roguelike bullet hell mother gunship coming to Quest 2 and Steam VR. So the studio behind Mother Gunship 2018 announced it's releasing a VR reimagining of the roguelite, the rogue-like shooter this summer on MetaQuest 2 and Steam VR headsets. Meta, if you don't know about this, is basically Facebook. Dubbed Mother Gunship Forge, developers Terrible Posture Games says the rogue-like bullet hell shooter is releasing on June 16th, 2022. Wow, that's a pretty fast turnaround from announcement to release date. Usually, I mean, in my experience, there's a little bit more lag so that they can iron out all the bugs. Let's take you over to Road to VR. That's the source for this article. Scott Hayden is the author of this article. If there's a video, I won't play it. There's only a screenshot or two, maybe 3. Oh, there's 3. And it says, like the original, the game focuses on first-person shooting madness against a robot alien horde. So I just love everything about VR. I would really like AR to take off as well. But yeah, I really get a kick out of VR, and it's great for exercise. It's great for interaction. It's just a blast. So come on, let's get some wireless VR headsets for PC. That isn't going to track me when I blink. So the next article is over on Reality Hacker as well. Tabletop sim Quest Haven reaches Kickstarter funding goal in first week. So Quest Haven is an upcoming tabletop simulator that's aiming to bring VR and PC users all of the tools they need to play tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder. After a week on Kickstarter, Quest Haven has managed to secure its initial funding goal of $50,000. Mercis announced on March 26th that Quest Haven is now fully funded. At the time of this writing, the project has secured over $54,000 from 791 backers. So let's click this and we'll get taken over to Road to VR. Today's kind of VR day. If you want to choose the word in tech day, it's going to be VR. This article too is written by Scott Hayden, and I won't. You know what? Let's click this link. It'll take us over to the Kickstarter site. So let me click that real quick, and it'll just bring us over there. Ta-da! So I had heard about this, but I haven't taken part in it yet. And it says that they've reached their goal. Yay! Congratulations. Well, you'll be able to go over there and yeah, they've got a video that you can watch that introduces what's going on. It looks like they have some really neat graphics. Yeah, it's going to be pretty neat. So again, come on, folks, get some wireless VR headsets out there that are reasonably priced. This next article is over in the Order of the Bean. Broccoli talk. Eating broccoli may help you metabolize caffeine. According to some research, apparently, eating broccoli may help metabolize caffeine. Let's click the link. It takes us over to Sprudge. It has a neat little graphic of a piece of broccoli and what appears to be coffee. And I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, it does. That turns the coffee slightly green. This is an article written by Zach Cadwallader. And it says, not being able to shut down at night because you're still jazzed on caffeine is never fun. But there may be a cure. Broccoli, ahead of the green stuff, may quiet a head full of the fiend stuff. Oh, Zach. It may sound bizarre, but there's some scientific backing to support it. According to Longevity, restlessness at night can be caused by caffeine lingering in your system, with roughly 50% of a coffee consumed at 2 p.m. still working its way through your body some 8 hours later. Oh, I have to go and apologize to somebody. But it depends on how much you actually consume. Okay, so I fell off the rails of reading the quote from the article. So let me get back on it. So instead of limiting your caffeine intake after 11 a.m., because what sort of monster would even suggest such a thing, alternate remedies have been found. One of them is broccoli. Turns out eating broccoli helps your body metabolize caffeine faster. Neat. So yeah, I guess we're going to have to find some broccoli tablets or something to get it into our system, kind of like fiber or whey protein. Maybe I can just mix broccoli concentrate into my coffee, and it'll be like Irish coffee, right? So the alcohol makes you sleepy, but the caffeine wakes you up, and so you go through spasms as the night goes on. I don't drink Irish coffee, but anyway, neat. So if you are interested in metabolizing caffeine faster so you can sleep at night, but you want the buzz throughout the day, try broccoli. Let's continue on to the next article. It too is in the Order of the Bean. Just a drop will do you. New mineralization concentrates make for better brewing. Lotus water is live on Kickstarter. So it's another Kickstarter article today. Let's go over to sprudge.com and let's see what this is all about. So why does water for coffee have to be so hard? Not like pH hard, but like difficult hard. The best water for coffee is literally 99.99 hydrogen and oxygen, with that little 0.01% being trace minerals. Oh, but what an important and difficult 0.01% it is. This article is written by Zach Cadwallader, again over at sprudge.com. In the cafe setting, getting water fine-tuned for coffee isn't making much of an issue, thanks to reverse osmosis filtration and remineralization systems that cost thousands of dollars. Really? I'm going to have to swing by a couple of local coffee shops and see what they do with their water. I'm not sure any of the ones I go to are really doing anything special. But I know of a couple that are kind of, I don't know, aficionado style coffee shops. But there aren't many scaled down versions of these systems for home use. So apparently the Onyx Coffee Labs, which I've heard about several times in the last few days, Onyx Coffee Labs Lance Hedrick an accomplished latte art competitor and multi-time finalist in the U.S. Brewers Cup, and that's why I've been hearing about it, because it's coming up in a couple of weeks. Lotus water consists of up to 4 different mineralization concentrates, and it goes into what they are. Well, now apparently you can go and help kickstart them. I'm going to scroll down a little bit and see if I can find a link to well, it's going to take me over to the official website, lotuscoffeeproducts.com, but might as well highlight them, right? So you get a bottle. Let's go over to Kickstarter too. Boink. Lotus water, customized water for brewing coffee, a water remineralization kit for crafting water specifically to brew great coffee. You know, I'll probably do this. And the other one. Yeah, I'm not logged in on this browser, but I've kickstarted, or I should say I've pledged to probably about 40 or so Kickstarter campaigns. Some of them with a large value, and they haven't returned anything. I've got only one on Indiegogo, and that too it's been almost 5 years now, and they still haven't followed through with delivery of what I pledged for. But I just want to remind anybody, if you go over to Kickstarter, don't treat it like a store. You're investing in the opportunity to receive something, typically at a lower price or at a premium price because it's an exclusive. That said, if it doesn't come through, really, they are promising to give the best effort. They're not promising to deliver the product. And so sometimes the fit hits the shan and nothing gets delivered. And sometimes what gets delivered is subpar quality. But let's continue on. The next article is something that I talk about periodically, and that's this in the Hatch Ideas channel, which is about business transformation, intellectual property, product design, things like that. And probably one of the shows that I'll be launching here on the weekends, solely on the weekends, along with the daily news show. Well, this is oligarch linked to billions in 27 Swiss bank accounts in sister's name. And this is the thing that really bothers me about all of this. This is a citizen's wealth in the various countries, right? In this case, it's a Russian oligarch. But this isn't just private money earned by starting up businesses and things like that. No, that's not really how this all works. It's a little bit more complicated than that. And I don't think that the world needs billionaires. And I'm sure people will, lambast me for saying something like that, as if they are ever, all of the people that, argue counter to what I'm saying, they all cannot even fathom that they'll never see $1 billion in their lifetime. And if they do, it's because they've become a Russian oligarch, or some family has given their entire family wealth to them. You don't start out as a humble student at, the local coffee shop and get transformed into a billionaire. It just doesn't happen. If you show me a billionaire who is a self-made billionaire, I'll peel back the onion and show you where you're wrong. Or it's the one anomaly in the entirety of humanity. Nobody needs billions. What we need are more opportunities, exploiting technology to give greater equality and equity, to end suffering, to not create partisan, do not create barriers to entry, do not exploit simply because you have wealth. You can buy up everything and then start driving up prices or limiting who has access. It's all antisocial. It's all sociopathic. Everything that I just said is something that should be happening to build society. But there are people out there that want to stop all of that and exploit it for personal wealth. So let's click this link. It'll take us over to The Guardian and the Russian Asset Tracker by Alisher Usmanov. And the article is written by Kailina Markordov and Simon Goodley. And it's shocking. It's shocking how much wealth is controlled by what amounts to be a very few people in Russia. It says leaked documents raise questions over financial relations between relatives of billionaire ex-Arsenal shareholder Alisher Usmanov. Billions of pounds linked to the Russian oligarch and his business empire appear to have been held in secret Swiss accounts belonging to his family, an analysis of leaked documents suggests. I wonder if this is the leak that Anonymous dropped recently after hacking Russia servers, financial documents from the Russian central bank. I'm not sure if that's where it's from, but her name is attached to Credit Suisse accounts that appear in the Swiss Secrets Project, a leak of data relating to 30,000 clients of the Swiss bank. It is not clear why her name would be linked to accounts associated with her brother's business empire. A spokesman for Usmanov suggested the Credit Suisse data was fake and incorrect, and there's nothing untoward about his financial relations with his sister, which are lawful and indicative of his generosity. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, when you have great wealth and you use it to buy up properties, that's one thing, but provenance is a matter of context. So when you say, hey, let's look at this, let's peel back the onion of this wealth, people go, it's none of your business. It's none of your business. Yeah. Abuse happens in the dark. Hey, welcome to the channel. Good to see ya. Hi, Brilding. If you had great wealth, you would make Earthship communities? Really? Like Earthship to send out into space? That kind of thing? Let me see something here. Hold on a second. Maybe I'm missing the context. Oh, that kind of thing. Oh, right. Oh, okay. Now I got you. Interesting. So the greater world Earthship community, that kind of thing. You can do that with like 3D printers and stuff. And apparently it doesn't cost that much. I mean, it costs a lot when you're doing it in great numbers, right? So that's what you're talking about. But that's I'll keep on going through the news and you can talk. I know that there is a lag between what I say here in the stream and then what's on the chat. But I've heard that phrase before, Earthship communities. For whatever reason, I was thinking about space, though. So this next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. Where does your info go? U.S. lawsuit gives peek into shadowy world of data brokers. Data brokers collect our personal data and sell it on. But a new case shows just how easily people's security can be breached. And I've actually witnessed this taking place between criminal records in Florida and anonymized data. Um, and they use the criminal records to de-anonymize the medical records, um, and locate people who had committed criminal acts where either the victim or the person themselves ended up in the hospital. Yeah, it was pretty interesting to find this. So when you think that anonymous data is anonymous, not necessarily. So Brilliant says, Earth ships are Earth compact homes that are built below the frost line and are really green. They capture all their own water and have the same temperature all year round. Yeah, and they use the resources that are local, like right next to the house, right? And it's something that I've been interested in doing, actually. I want a house that is built from the land itself. Uh, there's a company right now. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they actually use a 3D printer to do just that. They take the local land, um, add a couple of things to it as a binding agent, which is natural, um, like dry grass, and they turn it into a 3D printed material that they can just layer after layer. And then the hole that they created to get all the material for the house is used as water collection. So you get a pond at the end of the day too. So these data brokers, there are a number of ways your personal data could end up in the hands of entities you've never get directly given it to. One of them is through a data broker industry, a complex network of companies that profits off the sale of data such as your location and your purchases, as well as biographical and demographic information. All of this actually translates into psychographics too, which are used to feed you information depending on the site that you are visiting, like Facebook. They actually get to know what your personality is, which goes way beyond what we perceive as biographical and demographic information. But they actually get to know what your demeanor is and then feed you the right information to either sell you or motivate you. And that's all ad stuff. So I mentioned in a previous episode, way back, somewhere in the 90 previous or 85, 86 episodes, where Facebook actually manipulated the news feed as a psychology test. And 700,000 people had their news feeds manipulated to see what happened. And the people who received positive news based on their data acted positively within the site. And those who received negative news responded negatively throughout their experience on the site, how they were tracked. It was all showing them as responding negatively to the negative news. And so my problem with it is, first, nobody knew that they were being experimented on. And secondly, which is unethical, by today's standards, it's unethical. And secondly, this had to have gone outside the bounds of Facebook. And so to this day, nobody knows who these people were that were manipulated and if their actions on the site translated out into the real world as well, either negative or positive. I could care less if somebody goes and hugs somebody because they've received happy news all day long. But I am a little bothered by the idea that somebody was pissed off by all of the news that they've been receiving negatively throughout the day and they go kick a cat or something, you know? I mean, people behave oddly when they are peppered with, and I know about this from crisis intervention, if you pepper somebody with negativity again and again and again, they react. And they don't just sit there and go, oh, I'm just getting negative news. No, 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 no. Their psychology is being manipulated, and I find it highly unethical. But that's one of the reasons why I don't really care for Facebook or Meta or anything it touches. Yeah, that's my bias. And I'm aware of it. I talk about Facebook. If they do something good, then great. If they do something bad, then that's, I report that too. But it's all part of the aggregation on ohmTown. It's not me filtering it in or out. That said, it says now a new lawsuit is giving consumers an unprecedented peek into the opaque world and illuminating just how easy a data broker can lose control over the user's information. So let's click this link. It takes us over to The Guardian. And this is an article written by Joanna Buin. I think that's how it's pronounced. And I've actually have some experience with this. In a previous life, I worked in this field to some degree. It's when you are using a service that's free, you are the product. Everything that you do on a free site is being tracked and quantified and qualified and then sold either in tranches of highly effective data or in lesser valued tranches of weaker correlated data. That translates into things like getting robocalls or direct mail pieces or marketed online. And all of that actually, when you have a much more connected service, it actually translates into ads and connections that you never thought were happening. So you can use something that is on Facebook. Let's say you're doing something in Facebook and you click a link and it tells you, or you're clicking a link on Facebook that talks about telescopes. Well, because of the way that everything is connected, that information can ultimately show up as ads on YouTube, even though it's disparate systems. Information is shared to such a great degree. And it's something that I give a talk about where I show people in real time that I can go to one website and then go to a completely different website and the ads match. Not the ads on one site. One site is selling products and has no ads, but the tracking information is in real time and it's sending it to another site because of the way that everything is interconnected. Now, a lot of people think, oh, well, it's just happenstance, but no. And I do this in real time. I show people exactly how tracking works to raise awareness that you're being tracked all the time. So when there is so much data and it's being bought and sold, you need to be aware of it, that you are the one that's being bought and sold. Now, in Europe, they have the right to be forgotten. In the United States, no such thing. And I would love for the right to be forgotten to come to the United States, because as the way that I put it with people, businesses and private individuals who aren't associated with business, they just are learning about technology. I tell them, if you have a significant other and you have a falling out, you take your box of stuff and leave, right? And it's not like they show up again and say, hey, I want to sell you this, and you tell them to go away. That's not how it works. You leave, you break up, you go your own separate ways. That's not how it is with a website. That's not how it is with a service that's free. It continues to track you because some services are interconnected. And so they're still gathering telemetry from the traffic that you are generating based on cookies on your computer. A lot of people don't know about it, and that's why I like talking about it. So just to get back to the conversation that's in chat, a lot of them are really ugly. Yeah. But they don't have to be ugly. So I'd make them nice ones and communities of them. And they would all have a gym and barbecue in the community, as well as get powered over excess power generated by the whole community. Yeah, it could go solar, it could go wind energy. They make really efficient wind generators that are vertical instead of the big bladed ones. They're cylinders and they spin really fast instead of these slow moving blades that turn a massive turbine on the tower, right? So there's that, you have exactly what I have in mind in terms of exploiting technology to make life better for more people. And we have so much land and we have so many resources that it's these partisan politics and the need to create great wealth for themselves at the expense of others, that we end up where we are, wondering how we have, millions of homeless people in a country of such great wealth, or hundreds of thousands, depending on the size. It all depends. It scales with the country. And then it just bothers me when a country will say, we don't have homeless. Yeah, you do. The same thing goes with prisons and stuff like that. Countries that say that they don't have any prisons, no, they do. Or less than the United States. Yeah. I'm going to end up going down the rabbit hole about that. So let me get back up on this here. So you really should go over to The Guardian and read this article, because it will walk you through some of the information about how data brokers collect information from sources and then they sell it. And usually there's some terms of use there. But anybody who's really capable can still obtain that information beyond its terms of use. It says the new lawsuit, first reported by the Markup and filed in February, involves two companies in this vast network: Xmode, a data broker that renamed itself OutLogic, and Nibsys, one of Xmode's customers. So I'm going to have to follow this because I'm always interested in this kind of thing. There's no safe way to buy and sell people's location data for profit, period. We desperately need a real data privacy law in the US that outlaws this type of surveillance profiteering. Yeah, I agree. And a lot of people will post pictures online, not thinking that there's any problem with it. And if the service doesn't adequately scrub what's referred to as metadata from the picture, it actually contains the GPS location of where that picture was taken. And as I explain it to people periodically, if I wanted to, and that website that I'm seeing you post pictures on doesn't do the scrub of metadata, I can track where you're going and know when you're home and when you're not home. And it scares the bejeebers out of people when I explain it to them and then show them with a picture that they post somewhere. In fact, I was once challenged to find somebody who said that I would never be able to find them with information from online. And without a doubt, not only did I find them, I knew exactly what they were purchasing the weekend that they said go. I was challenged that I had 48 hours to find them, where they were. And I found them at the end of the weekend, and I had started on Saturday. And it didn't take me very long. It took me about 6 hours to find them. But I had to rely on some information that the source that I found them through had to post online. And sure enough, I told him, hey, you're wearing a red shirt with a gray star on your chest, and you're holding $5,000 headphones. And he's like, oh, how'd you do that? And I said, you challenged me, challenge accepted. And he said he had to make phone calls to get the pictures taken offline. That's not how it works, bub. So anyway, let's continue on with the next article. The next article is Iceland reverts to palm oil with regret as Ukraine war hits food prices. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, I still hate to say it, as a conflict, as if both parties are, really conflicted here. It's not. The invasion of Ukraine is upsetting the economics in the region. It's upsetting the lives of not just Ukrainians, but everybody around them. all for supposedly a bit of land. But it's a special operation, right? It's not an invasion force. Anyway, it says a supermarket boss says only alternative would be to clear our freezers and shelves of a wide range of staples. Iceland will temporarily return to using palm oil and some own label brands from June because the price of a key alternative, sunflower oil, has soared by 1,000 during the war in Ukraine. Because if you don't know about it, Ukraine is a massive exporter of sunflower based products. So in 2018, the supermarket chain announced to much fanfare that it was removing the controversial ingredient, which has been linked to the destruction of the Earth's forest, as part of its stand against the product. It launched a TV ad made with Greenpeace, which was pulled after it was deemed too political. So let's click this link. It'll take us over to The Guardian again. Sarah Butler is the author of this. And it says, supermarket boss says only alternative would be to clear our freezers and shelves. Oh no. I'm stuck here. I'll just have to, I didn't log in, so I'll have to log in again. But I won't do it on the air. Sorry. We'll have to come back to it. Let me continue on. The next article is nature-inspired 3D printed jewelry by Anna Riker. So this is in the Bead Baby channel. I already spoke about it earlier. Anna Riker is the New York-based 3D artist and jewelry designer behind Anna Riker Jewelry. As her shop suggests, she designs nature-inspired jewelry. Her lovely creations depict her love of insects and animals like chameleons and frogs in a variety of metals and metallic finishes. So let's click this link and I'll take you over to Beading Gem. It's another article from this site which highlights handcrafted jewelry. I might have shown something similar to this a while back, but it has like insects and other things. Looks like mostly insects made in various materials. And I think back then I had said there is this clay that you can buy that's metallized clay. And it's a lot of fun. You can actually, for instance, you can't see my cursor, but so in the center of my screen is this butterfly or moth. Looks like a moth, actually. Well, anyway, they're not going to wear these real dang. Of course people will wear these. Some people do. I'm telling you, there's an audience for anything. I mean, just look at Twitch and their streaming. There is an audience for everybody. Maybe not me. You know, I'm not very bombastic. I'm not loud. But there are people that will buy these. I'll have to go and check out. Oh, they'll get caught on everything. That might be true. You might be having to de-snag these. But you'll dig this. I think that you'll dig this. So this little gold moth here, you can actually roll out this silver or copper clay and then just cut these little openings out that you see on this moth and then throw it in a kiln and it will burn out the binder and it'll be pure silver or copper. They have other materials too, but I don't know what the full range is. I've only seen like in person, the copper and silver. And it's 100% silver, or well, not 100%. It's 99.9% silver or copper. And it's just as rigid as the regular metal because it all gets fused together inside the kiln, and it shrinks about 20% in size. So you have to make it oversized for it to shrink to this size, whatever this size might be. but it's pretty neat. And so all you need to do is, purchase the stuff, and you can sculpt it into whatever and then throw it into the kiln. I'm not sure how they're making it, but I promise you there are people out there that will buy this. I don't know if I would, but there you have it. So let's go on to the next article. Whoa. This has my old login in there. Let me just wipe this one out. Oh my gosh, what is going on here? I had logged in. Anyway, this is in the Four Wheel Tech channel. This is what we learned by driving the prototype Nissan Ariya EV crossover. I will click this link and just take us over there. It says, before Elon Musk and his Model 3, there was another auto executive with grand plans to electrify the car world. That man is Carlos Ghosn. And while he's more famous these days for his departure from Nissan, he was a driving force behind the company's Leaf electric vehicle. Yeah, the Leaf didn't quite meet demand, but the demand levels that they wanted. So, boom, it's gone. Actually, I think the Leaf is still around. Anyway, this is an article over at arstechnica.com. It's written by Jonathan M. Gitlin. And it says here, Nissan's next EV aims for much more mainstream appeal than the hatchback Leaf. Well, that is a good looking car. That looks much like my car. And I want an electric car. The only problem, and I've said this in other episodes, if it takes me an hour to charge my car somewhere, it's already a loss for me. I want to be able to roll into a gas station, somebody pulls my battery out, puts a replaceable battery in, and off I go, and it's charged and quality controlled and everything's good. My insurance will cover anything if there is a problem with the battery and I'm stuck on the side of the road. AAA or insurance will cover picking me up. But we don't have the infrastructure like that here in the States. I don't think it exists anywhere. But just like gas, we need to make it fast, efficient, and capable, and distributed evenly somewhere across the nation, so that I'm not hustling and sweating over trying to get to the next charging station, and then I have to sit around for 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, depending on the charger. It drives me nuts, the idea, and I get told time and time again, oh, well, just hang out and have a lunch. No. I got places to be and things to do, but I still want to be beneficial to the planet. So electric vehicles, for all intents, are more beneficial than consuming oil, gas. So that's really what I want. I want an electric vehicle. The one that I keep looking at is called a Canoo, Canoo. I want that electric vehicle because it's like a minivan, VW bus kind of a electric vehicle with nooks and crannies all over it to store stuff. And I'm just kind of a tool geek. Anyway, this car looks pretty nice. Great lines on this car. I can't describe it, but it looks kind of like maybe a more sleek Range Rover. What is that? What is the Range Rover called that I'm talking about? Evoque, I think it's called here in the States. I think it's called an Evoque. Yeah, it's a little more rounded, more like a Mazda 3. So at any rate, it's pretty neat. Let's see what the range is on this thing. It says the Leaf never quite hit Ghosn's demanding sales expectations, predictions of 1.5 million Leafs per year by 2016, but Nissan had still sold more than 500,000 by the start of 2020. Wow. Okay, so let's see what else is on this thing. There's the Nissan Rogue. They mentioned the Nissan Rogue. It's the same size and shape as the Nissan Rogue. So there you go. That's really the car that I was looking for. Although it looks a little bit nicer than the Rogue, at least to me. Let me keep scrolling here. So it says here, to begin with, the US will just get Arias with 87 kilowatt hours capacity battery packs. That should deliver between 283 or 285 and 300 miles of range for a front wheel drive Aria, depending on trim level and wheel size. In this configuration, the AC synchronous motor generates 238 horsepower, which is nice for what could be. Let me make sure if it's nice or not. Oh yeah, well, it's only a front wheel drive with 238 horsepower, so that kind of aligns with a typical, somewhere in the $30,000 range car. Nowadays, it's probably 50,000 because of prices going up. But yeah, I would love everybody to get an electric car. It's much better for the environment, although depending on the batteries, the initial processing of battery packs and then disposal and remanufacturing can be somewhat messy. So how long have you had your car? Let's see here. It says by late fall, the Aria will also have an all-wheel drive option, an E4 Force. I know that they're trying to say force, but the way it's spelled is E dash the number 4 ORCE. So you still have your very first car since 2008. Where I'm living now, the first car that I bought, I had just made my first payment on it and it got rear-ended in the rain. So I don't have my first car because it was summarily destroyed. It actually, they bent the frame when they hit me, and then when they tried to straighten it in the shop, they tore the frame in half, is what they told me. So yeah, that car was pretty much ruined. Nissan's PR materials tout the Tesla system in its GTR sports car in reference to the E-Force. So expect this version to be more performance oriented. It'll have a less range at approximately 265 miles. See, and that's just too small. A car that size with a regular gas tank will be exceeding 340 miles in range. That said, if it's running out with 389 horsepower, that's a different animal. And I would love to have that car. So it says there will also be an option to order an Aria with a smaller 63 kilowatt battery capacity. And they talk about it being available in the fall. So the car was a Suzuki Swift Sport. Or it is, sorry, a Suzuki Swift Sport. Yeah, those are awesome. Actually, I dig those cars. Yeah, they're pretty neat. It's a fun drive, as a matter of fact. I don't think they're here in the States anymore. They used to be. Are they still here? Yeah, I'm not sure if it's still here anymore. I think it's only in the European market now. Yeah, and they change over the years. Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, I wouldn't buy one now anyway. Not now. Not right now. Just wait. Save up. Okay, so that's enough about this car. Let's continue on. I have a few more articles, and then we can chat if you are interested. So this is in the wanted channel, and yes, I want this, but probably won't get it. A 5.5 gigahertz Core i9 12th generation KS is Intel's fastest and most power-hungry desktop CPU. And it says, not to be outdone by the upcoming release of AMD's Ryzen 7 5800X3D, Intel is placing one more Alder Lake desktop CPU at the top of its 12th generation Core desktop lineup. The Core i9, and the S is for Special Edition, is a 16-core, 24-thread chip, 8 power cores and 8 efficiency cores with a top-rated speed of 5.5 gigahertz, 300 megahertz faster than the existing i9 12900K. So you can overclock these K chips. Why it's special edition is probably so that they can charge you $500 more. That said, I'm looking for a new machine. And I just don't know what to get. So this is an article over at Ars Technica. It says, squeezing a bit more out of Alder Lake at the expense of higher power use. This is an article written by Andrew Cunningham. And it's going to go into greater detail about what it is. It says the i9 12900KS launches in April or on April 5th for $739, and existing motherboards may need BIOS updates to support the new chip. I still don't think that they'll be able to compete with the Mac Studio, but we will see. I'm sure that there will be some comparison charts coming out, but the efficiency of the Mac Studio is something that a lot of people will appreciate, not having to have a 1200 watt power supply. So let's continue on to the next article. That's what the site looks like once you're logged in. The next article is in the Wanted channel. Yesterday, I think, and the day before, I had talked about mechanical keyboards. And essentially, I am anti the normal, standard, straight mechanical keyboard because it causes repetitive strain injury, carpal tunnel syndrome, messes with your wrists, tires your arms and your hands out, actually cause nerve damage. Not everybody falls to this, but over time, it does cause issues. Well, anyway, so you've heard about mechanical keyboards and you want to learn more. Sure, a standard memory keyboard can get the job done. My very first computer was a Timex Sinclair 1000. That will date me. But the long-lasting keys and trademark tactile responsiveness of mechanical keyboards offer a premium experience that many people swear by. I am one of them. In fact, I will show you again. I'm going to move my mic for a second, so it might make a loud noise. Apologies. Let me do this. I'll show you. I use a split keyboard. That way, I can put it at any angle I want and tent it so that it is appropriately positioned so I don't have broken wrists. So when you use a straight keyboard, you have to turn your wrist like so, and that messes up your joint. And so, yeah, I basically say, everybody's looking at me right now, probably saying, okay, Grandpa, get off the internet. But it will do you a lot better. And, I type over 115 words a minute. So I am always on a keyboard. I'm typing pretty much all day long, for one thing or another. Oh, my bandwidth just dropped. It went from 7,000 to 3,000 to 9,000 kilobits. Weird. Anyway, let me get this done so that everybody can go on with their night, I suppose. So this particular article is going to talk you through mechanical keyboards. And oh, you have a ducky, huh? Nice. Let me click this link. I'll take you over there. So this is an arstechnica.com article by Sharon Harding. And I'm going to scroll down here and see if they're going to show some pictures. It looks like it must have more connections to other pages because it's way too short to be an article that is complete. But they have pictures of mechanical keyboards. That's close to the ones that I kind of use standard, except for my I have two split keyboards. They're made by Mistel, Mistel, reasonably priced, mechanical. One is LED backlit, the other one is not. But I have a few other mechanical keyboards, much like this one here. And while they are amazing, I love the sounds of them. They really are ergonomically poor. But I take one of those when I'm going to go to a site to do whatever it is I do. And sometimes it fits just perfect for the task and I'm not going to be spending hours. But if I know that I'm going to be spending hours, then I pack up a split keyboard so that I know that I'm still not going to mess with my wrists. You will thank me later if you invest in a mechanical split keyboard. Now, they are not cheap split keyboards. Even this one is a split mechanical keyboard, but it isn't the same kind of split mechanical keyboard that those other mechanical keyboards are. The keys you can pull off the keys, you can pull out the switches, you can swap them for something else. Yeah, and like Brildain says in my chat, 60 to 65% keyboards. Yeah, those are those little ones. And you can get smaller like that. And let me see if one of those pictures was of a 40. So that's it right there. Tiny little thing. But it's awesome. That way you don't have anything. You could throw that in your backpack and create like a little go bag. So if I get a phone call, I basically have a little mini keyboard like that. And off I go. I just throw that in my bag and I have everything that I need. So it's pretty cool. You shop for weight. Okay, Brildain, what is the weight that you're looking for? You want light? Because I'm all about a heavy. Okay, yeah. So I want a metal base. I want solid mechanical switches that send off a sonic boom when I'm typing. People in the office when I go in they hate me. So I don't go into the office. So yeah. There's a website. Let me see. I'm not sure. What is this? Oh, so there's a website called Drop. I'm not sure if everybody already knows about them. They're popular, but they work with companies to make mechanical keyboards of their own styling, as well as the regular branded keyboards. And they're high quality. Sometimes they're in the hundreds of dollars, $400, $500. The most expensive keyboard that I've ever seen was somewhere around $2,500. All of it was custom, very heavy duty. But mechanical keyboards are an amazing thing. There's a subreddit for them. There's an entire market for them. So if you are interested in this kind of thing, definitely follow that link. And let me throw it into chat, which I have neglected to do again. There's the one for the keyboard. Here's the one for the processor. What have I been doing? Here's the one for the car. I have neglected. I have one job. Well, at any rate, here we are. And I want to thank you for coming to my chat. And I'm going to run the end credit, but we can keep on talking if you want. 1 second.